Are we on? Okay.
Hello and welcome to Senior Connections, a production of Missoula Community Access Television. My name is Mike McCracken and I have the privilege of being the MCAT Senior Outreach Coordinator. Today we're going to be talking about the issue of hunger in Missoula and specifically how it might relate to senior citizens, but I think it's a broader picture that we're going to be talking about in great detail. We've gathered a number of experts around the table here to talk about hunger in Missoula, and I have sitting next to me is Colleen Baldwin, who is the Missoula Senior Service Corps Program Manager. Sitting next to her is Renee Labrie, who is a Senior Nutrition Specialist with Missoula Aging Services, and we'll be talking about those issues. We also have Captain Henry Graciani, I think I pronounced that right?
Yes, you did.
Who is with the Salvation Army, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Captain. And finally, from the Missoula Food Bank, we have Bonnie Buckingham and Dean Thompson, who will be addressing issues with the Missoula Food Bank. So thank you for being with us today. We're going to be talking about the issue of hunger in Missoula. And when I first started thinking about this, the first thing that came to mind when I'm talking about hunger is pictures of Ethiopia and the Appalachian Mountains. And I don't think we have that situation here in Missoula, but we do have a lot of people who are at risk for hunger. And I'd like to throw this question out, maybe Colleen can answer it. Give us some idea of the status of hunger in our county, in Missoula County and specifically.
Well, Mike, the people that we work with volunteer to help others in the community. And one of our things that we are expected to do is to find and serve local needs. And in Missoula, the face of hunger is your neighbor. It can be a young family struggling in Missoula's high cost of living to keep enough groceries on the food. It can be the senior citizen who is homebound, unable perhaps to get to the grocery store, or living on such a small fixed income that they can't manage it. Much of the hunger in Missoula is on emergency basis. They need a box, a few days of food, a couple, 3 times a year to get over the hump.
Mm-hmm. So it's not really visible. It's kind of an invisible problem out there. I think it would be hard to just look out there and say that group of people is hungry, because it may be just a temporary situation. They've got to, as you said, get over the hump, get some support to get them through a really tough period.
Absolutely.
And it might also be somebody who I would think would be homebound, a frail senior citizen or someone like that who, if they happen to miss some meals, could really seriously impact their health.
Absolutely. Seniors, I believe some of the statistics I've seen, something 40 to 50% of them are malnourished when they finally are receiving medical care through the doctor or through the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. What you're doing now is launching a campaign to try to get volunteers interested in the hunger issue, to try to get more people involved in that. And I understand you've got a campaign going that started this week and is moving through the next couple of weeks, and we'll be talking about in a little more detail. But we want to start talking about what your organizations are doing relative to the hunger situation in Missoula, and that's why we've gathered you here together to give everyone a broader picture of what's going on. I will start again with Colleen, who is the Missoula Senior Service Corps Program Manager for Missoula Aging Services. You've been with them for over 4 years. You have a lot of experience with nonprofit organizations and youth-related agencies before coming to the aging services. Tell us a little bit about what is Missoula Service Corps all about, Senior Service Corps all about, and give us some information on that.
Well, the Missoula Senior Service Corps is a group of about 500 volunteers that volunteer in over 100 different agencies in Missoula. Many of the nonprofits have our volunteers helping there. And in particular, we have 3 programs: our foster grandparent program, our senior companions, and then our RSVP program. And the RSVP program is volunteers over the age of 55 who choose where they would like to spend some of their time changing critical needs in the community that they live in.
Well, that's outstanding. Why are you getting involved? Why is the Missoula Senior Service Corps sponsoring this campaign to look for volunteers? Is there a real problem getting volunteers out of our community?
No, people really like to volunteer in our community. We are, of course, always looking to bring more people into our programs. Our funders, the National Corporation for Service, expects our volunteers to meet critical needs in the local communities. And as I said earlier, we were finding that hunger is one area that does have a critical need. And once the donations have come in, once the boxes are brought in, then it takes manpower to get that back out to the people in the community that need it. So we researched, looked around to see what it is that we might be able to affect the most easily. And again, we are looking for volunteers over 55, but we really encourage anyone of any age to give us a call. The people who join our RSVP program receive some excess liability insurance and auto insurance and some things while they're serving. So there's some benefits on that side as well.
Who are you looking for specifically? What kind of person are you really looking for when you're looking for a volunteer?
Somebody who'd like to give us a few hours. The jobs that the Food Bank and the Salvation Army will be looking for go from somebody, a very gentle job perhaps, where you would be sitting helping someone fill out the necessary forms to get food stamps, to the man who, or young woman, older people, whatever, who've got the physical ability to chuck those boxes up on a truck or bring them back down. So we have a wide array, very gentle to extremely physical.
Oh, that's outstanding. How can we get involved? What are you looking for?
Well, we would really like everyone to give us a call at Missoula Aging Services, 728-7682. Tell them you're interested in the Stop Hunger 1 hour at a time. Give us a couple of hours of your time. We'll join with these other great organizations in town, and we'll see what we can affect here this time.
You talked about 1 hour at a time. If I was a volunteer and I literally could only give you an hour, maybe two every week, would you want to use me?
Probably no problem at all.
Okay. So if it is just, no matter how busy your schedules are, if you can find that 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, and help out, call Missoula Aging Services, and they're looking for some help.
Absolutely. The Meals on Wheels program that delivers meals right to the home of homebound seniors or disabled in Missoula, the routes run an hour, hour and a half.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Picture perfect.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about, in more detail, some of those programs, and I want to turn it over now to Renee Labrie, who is a senior nutrition specialist with Missoula Aging Services. I understand you operated a restaurant prior to coming to Missoula, or coming to Missoula Aging Services.
Yes, I did.
Well, that stays right in line there. Tell us about the programs that you're involved with.
Well, the Senior Nutrition Program is actually comprised of two separate entities, the Senior Diner Club and the Meals on Wheels. And the Senior Diner Club is more of a coupon program that helps seniors stretch their dollars with the increasing cost of eating out. And we currently have about 400 low-income seniors on this program on a monthly basis. The Meals on Wheels program actually provides hot and frozen meals that we deliver to the homebound Missoula County residents. And both of these are set up under the Older Americans Act and that help fulfill nutritional requirements. And both are overseen by a dietitian. And actually the volunteers right now have a large part to do with the fact that you can just call and get a day's notice and be set up on Meals on Wheels. We serve about 1,200 meals on an average basis on a month.
Okay.
So.
Who's eligible for programs like that? Who you're really looking for to call in and say, we need some help, we need some support on this?
For the people receiving the Meals on Wheels themselves, you have to be 6 or older in general, or homebound due to illness, disability, or even just isolation and unable to prepare your adequate meals. And then the Senior Diner Program right now is just 60 and older and Missoula County resident.
Okay, what's the cost associated with the program?
Well, there's no mandatory fee at this point. We do suggest voluntary contributions of $2 or more, depending on income, and these are crucial to the continuation of our programs. But our volunteer drivers, again, help defray this cost, setting a lot of money towards the food instead of actually running the program. So they're a big help.
What times of day are you talking about for making deliveries? When do you need volunteers out there?
The drivers themselves pick up the meals at about 10:30 at the Providence Center where they're prepared. And some routes take less than an hour, some take an hour and a half, and they're back by 1 at the latest, the very latest. We do have some routes that go to Frenchtown and Lolo and Bonner.
Okay.
So.
I'm really curious, kind of interaction do you get with the drivers and their clients? Is it sort of like delivering a newspaper where you toss it up on the front porch, or is it more like delivering a
No.
pizza where you ring the doorbell and hand it across?
Yeah, we have a lot of interaction. A lot of drivers have been doing this. We've had a couple drivers that have done this for over 20 years. And they get to know their clients. You know, some of these people are on for a long time due to, homebound, and some come and go, but as a whole, you get to know them, and you get to know if they're not home, you worry about them, and we can check up on them. Sometimes we're the only people they see during the day, so it is a good chance for them to interact with people during the day.
I think that would be outstanding. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but my parents live out of state, out of Montana, they live in Oregon, and they're not ready for your program yet. But when they get to that point where they are frail or you're concerned about whether anybody's checking on them, the idea that someone is coming on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and establishing human contact would be very important. I mean, could they have slipped and fallen? Could they have broken a bone? Did they have had a stroke or a heart attack or something like that? And here's a volunteer coming to the door, at least making sure you see a smiling face. And maybe the face isn't always smiling. There's a few curmudgeons out there, but establishing contact with them and checking on them and seeing how they're doing. And I suppose it really is a personal level. If somebody really is an outgoing volunteer, they probably go in and talk to the senior or the client for a while.
Yep.
And that's a really great program. You're looking for volunteers. What are you looking for in a volunteer, and how do they get involved?
You know, basically just any old dependable person that wants to put in some time over their lunch hour. You know, it doesn't even have to be an individual. It could be a group of people that get together, some friends, maybe your golf team, and then the individual themselves only delivering maybe once a month or even less depending on the size. And then it doesn't take a lot out of their day, but they're making a huge difference. Yeah.
So you can husband and wife team?
Yeah.
A couple of buddies
We
that
have
wanna-
husband and wife teams that drive together, some friends that drive together. And we do have an adopt a route for businesses as well we're trying to get going, and we have like Lambros Realty and Opportunity Resources, and they do that where they have groups of people, so one person is coming, but the same route on a weekly time is fulfilling one of our routes. So it's working great.
Age limitations, minimum, maximums?
Be able to drive, have insurance, be able to carry a little. The meals themselves aren't too heavy, so it's actually quite easy to be a volunteer.
Do you just deliver the meal, or does you have to go any preparation after the fact? Does it have to be reheated or anything like that? They arrive hot, or they're...
They arrive hot. We have heated boxes that they're delivered in, and we also deliver frozen meals for the weekends or holidays, and they have easy heating instructions on them for conventional ovens. So
Outstanding. Well, thank you very much, Renee. Again, there's a great volunteer opportunity to get together with your buddies and friends and go out and make some life a little bit better for a few folks out there who need you, and it's an excellent program. We're going to turn it over to the good captain over here, Captain Henry Graciani, who I also found comes from California like I did, and it's a pleasure to have you here in Montana. I understand your family is adjusting slowly to
Very well.
here in Montana.
Yes, the kids are anxious for the snow.
Outstanding. That's great. Tell me a little bit about the Salvation Army's involvement with the hunger situation here in Missoula and in a broad spectrum, then I have some questions to ask you.
Sure. Well, the Salvation Army has year-round provides food to individuals, families who need support, and perhaps, as it's been mentioned by Colleen, they need enough to get over the hump, and we're there for them year-round. But the main thrust of our program, our program's kind of ballooned towards Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's where the big thrust happens, and that's where this partnership comes in and makes it possible for us to provide our services to the community.
What are you doing around those seasons that are particularly important?
Well, we have coming up our Thanksgiving food drive, and where our goal is to provide Thanksgiving turkey and all the trimmings to a family that is needy, that normally would not have a good Thanksgiving meal. And then, of course, for Christmas, even though food is kind of the substance of a Christmas time together, we also try and provide toys for the children as well. Because for the children, if you were to give them the option of food and toys, I think they'd pick toys. But we know food's very, is critical. So we try and provide food and toys to the young people and to families during Christmas.
That's outstanding. What kind of screening process do you get involved with people? Do you just help anybody who comes to you? Is there any screening process involved?
Yeah, anybody can come and apply, but we want to make sure that the folks who come to us are in fact needy and do need the assistance, because if there's a family that perhaps is able to provide their own meal, is able to provide their own toys, then it may take away from those that cannot. And so we have a screening process, And it's safe to say that our screening process is very lenient, that we want to make sure if we're going to err, we err on the side of charity and not on the side of having somebody go hungry during the not only the holiday season, but year-round. And so we do a screening process to make sure that we are, the dollars that are given to us, the foods that are given to us, are going where they need to go.
Yeah, that's great. How do people get involved? How do they apply for food assistance? How do they get on board with your program?
Well, for general food assistance, they can come anytime. The offices are open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Specifically, social services is open from 1 to 4, Monday through Friday. And they're available for anytime foodstuffs for a needy family. For the Thanksgiving time, November 5th, we're receiving applications. November 5th, I think it's to the 14th, for the Thanksgiving food boxes, and then I think it's the 28th or something around there. I'm still learning myself, being here, fairly new here. We're taking applications for the Christmas drive. But people can come anytime, call 549-0710 if they need assistance. And perhaps there's somebody out in your audience that perhaps they themselves don't need assistance, but are aware of somebody, a coworker, a neighbor, a friend, even a family member that might need some assistance, and encourage them to call the Salvation Army. We're there to provide assistance to whoever's in need.
Yeah, and my own experience is it's very difficult for somebody to just step forward and say, I need the help.
Right.
We're proud people, and we like to think we can take care of ourselves, and sometimes just to get over a little bit of a hump, and it's nothing to be really embarrassed about, but if you do know somebody who needs some assistance, certainly they can contact your organization. You get involved in food assistance only during the holidays?
The main thrust is during the holidays, the Thanksgiving and Christmas, but year-round. In fact, it's ironic that sometimes people think the Salvation Army kind of comes out, the bells come out, the kettles come out, and everything, the Salvation Army comes alive during the holiday season. But the fact is, folks, as everyone here around the table would agree, that people are hungry year-round, even by the hour. And so we're there year-round for folks that need assistance, whatever their need may be. And perhaps it's not just food. It may be assistance with a rental unit, assistance with utility bill. The Salvation Army has a comprehensive social services program to help families who are in need year-round. It balloons during Thanksgiving and Christmas, but year-round we're there. And we've been in Missoula over 100 years, and we're striving to continue to provide the level of service, and in fact, expand the level of service to those in our community.
I know that the Salvation Army is a national organization, and certainly the events that took place September 11th and afterwards has really stretched the resources of the Salvation Army. But how is that affecting, I think, the ability to provide services here on the local level?
Well, that's a good point. We have received quite a few checks for the disaster fund of September 11, and we've forwarded those to New York or Washington, D.C., wherever the donor has designated, and 100% of that donation goes to that area. And we've been fortunate that the donor usually will call and say, you know, I usually support you guys for Christmas, I usually support you guys for summer camp, but I'm going to give something above and beyond for those your efforts in New York City. And so we hope that people will continue to do that, because even though there's a tremendous need back east in our nation, there are people still in Missoula, in our community, that need our support, that need us to be able to come to the plate and provide the level of service that they need here in our local community. And when the dollars are given to us locally, they're spent locally unless we're told otherwise by the donor.
Mm-hmm. In general, what are you asking for from the community, and what can we do specifically to help?
Well, with this food drive, turkeys, of course, is essential. And maybe if folks can wrap their mind around one thing, they can say, well, what's one thing I can do? Well, bring a turkey by the Salvation Army. Maybe when you go food shopping, you're going to buy a turkey, perhaps buy two and bring it to the Salvation Army. Or give us a call. We'll swing by and pick it up, 549-0710. And that's kind of something they can do. Or if that's too cumbersome or inconvenient, they can drop us a check in the mail, and certainly just put on their Thanksgiving drive or Christmas drive or toys, or even they can designate it for seniors, children, and we'll make sure it goes to wherever the donor designates.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Captain. The next item we'd like to talk about is a Missoula food bank. I know food banks have been very successful all over the country. I come from California and had a lot of involvement with a food bank in Southern California that was extremely successful. And we'd like to explore the issue of what's going on here in Missoula. And we have with us Bonnie Buckingham, and she is Program Operations Manager, has worked at the food bank for 5 years, and you oversee all aspects of it. You just make sure everything operates like it's supposed to. Tell us a little bit about the Missoula Food Bank, Bonnie, and how do the clients get food from you?
Okay. Missoula Food Bank provides an emergency 3-day supply of food to anybody that's out of food and the money to purchase food. We do have a short survey that they fill out, but it isn't necessarily in any way used to qualify them. The people that come in need to have food for whatever reason.
You're basically collecting
And so-
some data so that you tell other people what kind of needs and services are in here.
Yeah. And we're open Monday through Friday from 10 until 1. We also expanded our hours into Tuesday evening from 5 to 7 for working people that couldn't make it in during our regular hours. And when someone comes to the food bank, we do have them fill out the survey. We have volunteers that put all the data into the computer. Then we have someone interview them, and we try to give them other options besides just coming to the food bank. Maybe they need partnership help for low-income health services, or we have people that will give free glasses, or so we try to refer them to other agencies that might be able to help them as well. They're then given a limit card, and they get to go through the food bank and shop. We don't just hand them a box of food, but they actually get to choose which kinds of food they can use. So what kind of cold cereal will their kids eat? You know, what kind of soup do they like? Things like that. After they've gone through and chosen all their food, there's actually someone, again, a volunteer that'll box their food and help them take it to their cars. So we use volunteers a lot in the store. We also have volunteers that go around to all the grocery stores and bakeries in town and pick up food for us each morning. And so we get bakery items, dairy products, and fresh vegetables a lot. So that kind of rounds out their, we hope that we give them more than a 3-day supply of food, but that we say is our minimum that we're giving them.
Give us a quick profile of a Missoula Food Bank client.
The people that come to the food bank are generally the working poor of Missoula. Most of them have a part-time job, somebody working at least part-time. Surprisingly, we have over 27,000 people that use the food bank each year. And those are 10,000 people that aren't duplicated. So approximately people use the food bank between 2 and 3 times a year on average. 46% of our clients are children, which is a rather large number, I think. And surprisingly this year, we've seen an increase each month over the previous year of at least 10%. It's been as much as 14%. So we're really seeing a big increase in the number of people that use us.
Do you have kind of a match with demand and your ability to provide a service? Do you ever cupboards go bare?
Our cupboards don't go bare. We always feed people. But we do rely on people who give us monthly donations of both food and money. And we do have a lot of different places that we can get bulk food, and we can get it less expensively that way. So we have a rather large food budget that when we haven't seen a lot of donations, especially during the summer, people are off on vacation, they're not thinking about the community needs as much as they do when the holidays come around. And so we do end up buying a lot of food. But we don't have empty shelves.
That's great. Glad to hear it. I want to talk a little bit about volunteerism with the food bank, and I'm going to ask some questions here of Dean Thompson, who's the volunteer coordinator. I understand you've been with the program for about 6 months, and you oversee all the volunteer opportunities with Missoula Food Bank and the off-site projects. What other programs do you offer to outreach in the community?
Well, over the last year, we've developed the Roots program with Aging Services. Roots stands for Recognizing Other Opportunities to Serve. It's the senior commodity program. Once a month, we deliver commodity food to seniors in the area. We have about 300 seniors that we serve right now. That food includes a box of that they're able to select from a menu item, and also they get another box of canned goods as well. So we try to bridge the gap where their finances don't go far enough. That's a once-a-month program. We also have the Indian Center, which we do once a week between 10 and 1 on Wednesdays. We're trying to reach people who typically don't use the food bank. There is a higher poverty rate among Native American people. And we're also trying to outreach to them and try to encourage them to use the food bank more and try to help them find other services in the community. We also have the Kids Cafe program, which operates during times when the federal free and reduced lunch program doesn't operate. And that's about, in Missoula, that's 5 weeks during the summer and then during spring break. So it's about 6 weeks during the year. We just started that this past summer, so it's a pretty novel program, and it is also sponsored by America's Second Harvest, so and ConAgra Foods. So that's something that's just getting off the ground. So those are the three main programs right now.
Those are outstanding. I hadn't even thought about the need for kids to get that extra meal that normally the schools would serve. And I have a sister who's a teacher and a good friend who's a substitute teacher, and I'm very aware of the value of that. And all of a sudden we have holidays and they go away, and it doesn't change the family situation at all.
Absolutely.
There still is the need to provide that meal that they probably wouldn't get otherwise, and I know how important it is. So.
And we're also trying to provide kind of a nutritional education focus with that as well, with trips to the community gardens or guest chefs, things like that.
How do you use volunteers? What are your needs for all
Oh,
these
gosh.
programs?
Our needs are broad. With the Roots program, we need people to help sort the food, and then we need drivers to deliver that food. And we have over 20 routes that we need drivers for. So that's an ongoing situation that we need to fulfill every month and make sure that the food gets to these people. With our Food Circle program, we need people to repack food. That's the program where we recover food from area dining services. And we recover approximately 4,500 to 5,000 pounds of food a month. And so we need people to repack that food and also help maintain the Food Circle area. And a lot of that food goes to other area agencies as well. We also, when Kids Cafe is running, we need people to help monitor the activities there, help serve the meals, and help with the activities that are the nutritional education activities. We need people to help pick up food, bread, Food Circle items, dairy goods. So, and that's usually early in the morning, between 8 and 10, that's when we stock the store. And we need other people to help get the store ready every day. We need help with interviewing. We have people who come in, and the interviewers try to make sure people are at ease and refer them to the appropriate resources around Missoula. And we also need people to help clean the food bank. That's the less romantic job at the food bank, but it's appreciated as much as any other job there. And you asked earlier if even if people could volunteer for 1 hour, in 1 hour they could help bag 15 carts of groceries for people, or sort food for the whole next day. So it's 1 hour means a lot. So.
I don't mean to bring it back up again, but this idea of the Kids Cafe just fascinates me. Obviously, when they're in school, there's a focal point where they get food distribution. How are you handling food distribution to the kids during that? Is there a central place they go to?
Well, right now, with this past summer, we did it at Grace United Methodist Church over in the Franklin School area, and we fed them with our Food Circle items primarily, and it was quite the buffet. So right now, that's where we're at with it. We're feeding kids with the Food Circle food, and but we're just taking it one step at a time and trying to get other schools involved in that and see how it goes.
Go over again that Food Circle idea that you're rescuing food.
Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds a little. But we are rescuing. We're kind of the I guess intermediaries before it hits the garbage. We're hoping that we have connections with sites like the university, also a Pizza Hut, China Buffet, and other dining services around the area where we have containers that we leave with them, and they fill with food that they're just not going to serve. It's still perfectly fine, but they give it to us. We get a lot from the university, and we repack it in these TV dinner-like containers at the food bank. And we give it to other agencies. Bonnie could probably tell you more about what agencies we do service.
Bonnie?
We actually have about 20 agencies that come in and get food from us. Mountain Home Montana, Boys and Girls Club, different agencies like that have a budget for food, but they can certainly use more. And generally it's people that feed on site and either they're cooking the meals or the people that actually live in the homes are cooking them. So it's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, I would think so. It's a neat way to use a resource that would go wasted. Do you ever, and I'm throwing this question completely out of the blue, but has the program ever gotten involved in any agricultural gleaning projects where you come in after a harvest and get some volunteers who can handpick the
Absolutely.
remaining produce?
A lot of people call us, just if they have an apple tree or plums that are just sort of falling off their tree and they don't know what to do with them. And we will get volunteers to go out and pick their trees or whatever they want done, certainly. Yeah.
Good. I have a lot of experience picking potatoes that way. It convinced me I've never wanted to be a stoop laborer. It made me interested in education, but we did a lot of that in California. Back to Dean, what kind of groups of people are you drawing your volunteer pools from?
We have great volunteers from the aging services and the RSVP program, and they're always very committed. They continue to refer people to us who want to share their experiences in their life with us. And that's just invaluable to us. We couldn't do it without them. We're also trying to target the university. We just attended their volunteer fair, trying to bring new students into the food bank and try to give them an experience in the community and kind of share that with them, and hopefully they can share some things with us as well. And we're looking for people of all backgrounds, cultural experiences, and we're just we're open to anybody coming in. We're kind of an eclectic group of people, and we just want to maintain that as well.
Outstanding. Any idea of how many volunteer hours and the value of volunteers to your organization?
Well, it's over 10,000 hours a year, approximately. We have about 75 volunteers a week that we depend on just to make the food bank run. We figure that at over 10,000 hours, that's probably over $55,000 a year in volunteer labor. But it's more than that. There are also advocates in the community about hunger issues and trying to rally people to understand what those issues are, as well as poverty in general.
Michael, there's something really interesting. There is an organization called the it's a coalition of nonprofit organizations, and they have done a study, and the volunteer hour is based right now on $15.35 an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you can take that 10,000 hours and multiply that number. There's a lot bigger number that you're claiming credit for. So
200,000.
So that's outstanding. Well, thank you very much. You're all right now in the midst of this massive drive to start to get volunteers into your programs, and this is what this Volunteers for Hunger campaign, which is started November 1st and moving through the 15th. Colleen, do you want to kind of give us an overview of that campaign and where it's going and what we can expect?
Well, absolutely. We're real excited. InstiPrints has agreed to do some printing of posters for us, so hopefully everywhere you go in Missoula, you'll see a poster talking to you about Stop Hunger 1 hour at a time. Your 1 hour is extremely valuable in delivering the goods to the people who are in most need. If you don't see a poster, give us a call. We'll go put one up if you want one. We'll be thrilled to do that with you. We're going to be talking to the media, helping the media to understand how important getting this message is out. And we have our 500 volunteers that we already work with. We're going to be encouraging them to give some more time. But especially, we really would like to encourage new people to step up to the plate, people of all ages. I don't want to put a limit on how far down. I know probably too small too young is a problem, but people of all ages, as Dean said, the university students, the young people in town. Holidays are hard when you're home all alone or away from home all alone. Give some time. Stand in line and hand out the food baskets at the Salvation Army. I've done that. It's a great day. Stand in line and sort some groceries. I guess you don't have to stand in line, but there's just so many things that are possible. And we've really tried to make this as easy as we possibly can for all of you out there. We'd like everyone just to call Missoula Aging Services at 728-7682, and we will help you get straight to the food bank, straight to the Salvation Army, straight to Meals on Wheels, whatever it is that you would really like to do, no matter what your age.
Well, thank you very much. I think that But the events of this past month, particularly September 11th, when we were visited with those horrific images of the violence that occurred, right behind them were the fantastic images of volunteerism. And that's really made me feel good and wonderful about this country, is the fact that right after a catastrophe, right after a disaster, there is this flood of people that can come in and say, I can help, I can do something, even if it's only an hour. I know a story of a 10-year-old girl who volunteered to be an amateur radio operator at one of the shelters, and was there for 8 hours all by herself on her little radio as part of the Salvation Army Emergency Radio Network, as a matter of fact. So, you know, it can be anybody involved, and we really just want to try to get the word out to the Missoula community that we're looking for volunteers. It's important you step up to the plate. Look at what's going on the East Coast and recognize that maybe you can't have the strong impact there that you'd like to have, but there's a great opportunity to volunteer here in Missoula County and be a part of making life a little bit better for someone else, making their holidays a little bit better, getting somebody over that hump. And maybe you're going to find out, like I found out many, many years ago, that once you volunteer for something, they really hook you. Don't you find that, Gene, when you're talking with your volunteers?
Yes.
A lot of people kind of come in and say, well, I'll give you an hour, I give you 2 hours, and then it's 3, and then it's 4, and it's what else can I do? Because it makes you feel so good. And it can be such an important part of your life. And it doesn't make any difference your age or your background. There's something everyone can do. And I think it's very important that we look at getting involved. Again, the number is 728-7682. That's Missoula Aging Services. They're taking a lead on this issue to kind of be the focal point to get the volunteers to the other groups that need it. Certainly, if you want to contact the Salvation Army directly, you're welcome to do that. If you want to contact the Missoula Food Bank, you're welcome to do that as well. But let's really make this work over this next couple of weeks. And not just make it just a couple of weeks, is get involved with these programs, and you're going to find out you're probably going to want to stay there forever. And I can't think of a better way to make the finish of this year, given what's happened up to this point, be a memorable one for all of us. I want to thank all of you for coming in to the studio today and talking with us and talking about these volunteer issues. There is certainly a concern and an issue out there with hunger in our community, and I'm glad to see there's so much emphasis and attention being paid to it. And we're going to be able to move right on through it and make people's life a lot better. I hope those of you who watched the program have enjoyed the information. And again, that phone number is 728-7682. This has been a program called Senior Connections, and it is going to be a continuing program from Missoula Community Access Television. We hope that you tune in to us on a regular basis and find out what's going on with senior issues in our community. With that, I thank you for being a part of it, and we hope to see you out in the community doing good things. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.